remove all white folks from the planet Earth.
Protect each other. We must love and protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We ain't gonna stop.
We gonna win. We not gonna stop.
Saying I can't leave. Calling out the violence of the racist police.
Y'all can't even accept realness. That's why I hate y'all. Y'all can't even be honest and say, damn,
nice.
that man got a 60-year-old black son with an afro. He might get stopped for no. We hate him. He doesn't support. Somebody shot. Not. Look, let's get him in the clip. Let's get him to the hospital school. You do this. Clear off that block. How many? This is how they stand in East New York. This is how they stand in Browns.
It's family time. They're gonna show their muscle.
Calling out the violence of the racist police, and we ain't gonna stop.
Arrest! I'm dead! Arrest! I'm right here!
Hey! Hey! Back!
You better stop that shit! You better stop that shit! Hands up!
Damn! The fuck is that shooting?
This is a space for black and brown lives, and we're here to talk about police brutality. You want to talk that Trump chart shit? Go to Trump rally. Go to Trump Tower. You're not going to do that here. You're not going to do that here. We do not. Racist out. 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 Racist out.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Fuck you, you white supremacists! You don't give a fuck about black lives! You don't give a fuck about black lives! You filthy fucking liar! You don't give a fuck about black lives! Fuck you, fucking homophobic piece of shit! Fucking fascist pigs! Fuck all of you!
That's right,
It's
man.
a racist system!
That's right,
The whole damn system!
You
it's
right.
guilty as hell!
You right,
The
baby.
whole damn system!
You right.
Well.
Since we ain't getting shut down! Let's go!
This is not no free land. Don't let them lie and fool y'all. Our kids, we have to make the inside of this crowd. I'm gonna buy you all $1.
Is Nazi scum! Trump is Nazi scum! Trump is Nazi scum! Let them out! Let them out!
Open the door!
Let them out!
Open the door!
Black people get shot every day, right? It's okay for that, right? It's okay for our brothers and our fathers not to come home, right?
May I ask you one question while you're here?
Why?
If a man was shot about 50 yards over there, we don't know by who, why are you here?
Because I serve a purpose, sir. I serve a purpose. My father serves a purpose. My brother serves a purpose. I'm here because guess what? Whether I'm here, I'm in school, I'm in my car, You said, okay, a man got shot over here, right? So you basically saying, why would I put myself in dangerous way?
Exactly.
Right. Oh, but guess what? I could be at work, at school, in my car. I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere. Do you see this?
I do.
Do you see that?
Yes.
Do you see me?
Yes.
Do you see you? We are not the same. We are human, but I am black and you are white.
Shit, you talking about the dread nigga?
That's my bitch ass! Bitch! Tear that bitch up! Tear that bitch up! Tear that bitch up! Tear that bitch up! Dick world! Tear that bitch up! Fuck this bitch! Tear this bitch up! Get that body out that bitch! There's guys in the truck! Get the truck! Get the truck! That's what's going on! When you kill my cousin, bitch! Get me out here! Let's get it!
But you see that calm down. We calm down. Don't even give them no reason. Let's not give them no reason.
Our president is a reason.
Understand all the. Don't give them nothing extra. That's all they want. Justifiable, man. Calm down.
Listen, say that. Exactly.
I ain't done nothing.
By 8 o'clock, hundreds stopped traffic on both lanes near Lexington. Police blocked off 8 miles of 94 between downtown St. Paul and Highway 280.
We don't care. We're here fighting. It's time to make a stand. We're going to make a stand. We're going to make it in front of the world and let them know we're tired.
For more than 4 hours, demonstrators ignored repeated calls by police to leave the area.
If you remain on the interstate, you will be subject to arrest.
Around 10 o'clock, police released smoke bombs to disperse the crowds, though most continued to stay. Over the demonstration, our cameras captured protesters throwing several items at officers, glass bottles and rocks, even a metal bar from a nearby construction site. We saw one officer getting help from other law enforcement after he appears to have been injured. In all, 21 officers were hurt.
Stop throwing rocks and bottles at the police officers.
For most of the evening, police and protesters left distance between each other. Yet there were tense moments when police used pepper spray to back up the crowd. Officers again used smoke bombs to force protesters out of the area. By midnight, dozens were taken into custody, but the evening wasn't over.
Fascists out! 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 Fascists out!
Country! This God called me to be grateful
dream. And I'm afraid that one day my dream will be ended, but some trigger happy cop who will kill me because of my skin color. Should I wake up in the morning and pray to God that I don't die today? Should I wake up in the morning in fear that I won't realize what my potential really is? You know, I'm on holiday, and I escaped from my group of my sister over here. Because we are tired of seeing what is happening around the world. That's right. It's not just in the States. It's not just in the UK. That's right. It's all around the world. That's right. Too many people care. That's right. The problem is they care behind their phones. No one is willing to step outside and do what's right. Silence is siding with the enemy.
Every 12 hours, a black body hits the ground. Every 12 hours, a black body hits the ground. What happened tonight? What happened tonight? This man right here told me he's gonna knock me the fuck out. You know what you said? You're gonna knock me the fuck out. You know what you said? You're gonna knock me the fuck out. That's what you said, right? You're gonna knock me the fuck out. That's what you said, right? This guy right here just said he's gonna knock me the fuck out. This guy here. This guy here said he's gonna knock me the fuck out. That's what you said, right? Tell us camera there. Tell us camera there. That's what you said. Why you gotta call it?
You fucked your grandma, you fucked your uncle.
Oh, yeah.
You
Hey, that sounds classic. Real classic.
You incestual piece of shit. You incestual piece of shit.
Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back.
Police gave more than 25 warnings to leave. Hundreds stayed on the freeway, on the bridge. Police say the protest became a riot.
And protesters last night turned into criminals, and I'm absolutely disgusted by the acts of some, not all, but some.
Some of those people threw projectiles on or near the freeway.
One of the rocks actually hit the officer's badge and actually scraped off the entire front of the badge.
He's got a bottle. He's got a bottle, Marshall.
We had 21 police officers last night that were injured. Rocks, bottles, rebar.
To try to move the crowd, police say they used non-irritant smoke and other non-lethal devices. Officers also sprayed mace, they say occasionally. Our camera caught mace sprayed near a truck with children.
They maced the child. This is a truck full of children.
Police defended their actions, saying officers did not mace children, but maced adults, getting in the way of police getting the truck to safety.
We took every possible step to make sure children weren't involved in this incident last night. And for the life of me, I can't understand why you would put a child into that position in the first place. It's really disgusting, if you ask me.
The shamelessness of someone that would bring children and use them as shields into a situation like that is absolutely outrageous.
After clearing the freeway and nearby area, police reopened 94 more than 5 hours after the protest started.
Your kids gonna hate you when they get older. Your wife probably gonna sleep with one of your damn coworkers. Cause you stupid. You the dummy. They laughing at you when you go home. They laughing at you.
What?
You the dummy. What? They sitting in the back room talking about these fucking niggas on our side. They dumb. They don't even pay you. They pay you $5 to lick off the owner plate, don't you? You get paid $5 to lick off the cheap plate because that's all you is a little puppy to the cheap. That's all, a little master, a little puppy.
So do you agree with Malcolm X that white people should be killed? Is that why you're here?
You damn right I do.
You do?
You think I'm scared to say that to you?
You think white people should be killed, huh?
Thought we should be killed when y'all came and stole us from Africa and put us in chains and murdered us for over 400 years. So yeah, you do need to die. I think everybody else on the planet will have peace when you're dead.
Are you responsible for what your parents did?
Listen, I'm talking for me. I answered your question.
All right.
Now I'm done talking because I don't negotiate with fucking terrorists. I think you should go back to those caves that you crawled out of in the Caucasus Mountains. because you can't leave black and brown people alone. We can't have any peace on the planet because of white supremacy and white existence. So yeah, fucking die or go back to the caves. Not scared to say it. And you with your camera, that's not sophisticated enough. I'm live streaming. You gotta up your game, honey.
I just sell pictures.
They see this live.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm just here to sell pictures.
Get modernized.
I'm the press.
Get modernized. I don't give a fuck who you are. I'm a nappy-headed, militant, non-compliant Negro that's here because Andrew man was murdered. Okay.
You hit me on being, is they white? Is they white white? They white, get their ass! Come on, nigga! Burn that bitch up! Hey! Hey, they beating up! Hey, they beating up every white person! They jumping every white person!
No more internal investigation!
No more internal investigation! Badges don't grant extra rights!
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 Badges do not grant extra rights!
Badges don't grant extra rights!
Injustice here is injustice everywhere! 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 Injustice here is injustice everywhere!
Sir, can I ask you why are you cursing at police?
Man, the police and you too, man.
Shut the up! The press is just as bad as the police! You guys are all part of this! Get the out of my face!
I asked you why you are cursing at police and why you're here. Tell me why you're here.
You here? Why
Yeah,
the
you, man.
You
don't come on, man.
Get the out of here! 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 Get the out of here!
Come here. I want to walk through. I want to walk through. I'm driving through, just walking through. We see your white big legs.
Okay, we just wanted to make sure
We see your white big legs.
I understand what you're saying.
Would you say that to me?
Can you please please don't put your hands on the people that are standing here,
okay.
And they won't put their hands on you.
Okay.
Can
I walk through?
You can. I'm gonna ask you not to put your hands on the people that are standing here.
I'm not going to touch anybody.
Okay, great. Would you take a block for white privilege?
No.
Okay.
Can I walk through?
You can go down to that end of the block.
We died for nothing! We died for nothing! Nothing! We need to make a change and it starts right here with the people standing right here. Black lives matter, white lives, yellow lives, pink lives, red lives, it don't matter. Everybody don't deserve to die, everybody deserves to live. And it starts right here with the people who holding the gun.
Hey, all lives matter, but who the fuck is out here? What majority color do you see? I fuck with the white people out here, but nigga, everybody say all lives matter, they don't give a fuck, nigga. Black lives matter, you feel me?
All lives matter, but my life is at stake.
We out here.
Because of the color of my skin, I feel like every time I step out of my door, my life is at stake. His life is at stake.
That will be done.
With his sister calling for peace.
Don't bring the violence here and the ignorance here.
Milwaukee police say they made multiple arrests overnight. With his sister calling for peace.
Don't bring the violence here and the ignorance here.
With his sister calling for peace.
Y'all burning down shit we need in our community. Take that shit to the suburbs. Burn that shit down. We need our our shit. Y'all want to hurt somebody, take that shit farther out. Don't bring it here. Don't bring the violence here and the ignorance here. We need everything we fucking got.
With his sister calling for peace.
Ain't no calm, no crowd down. Y'all think we gonna get reckless out here? It's gonna get way worse. Until we get justice, until motherfuckers start feeling where we coming from, it's gonna hit everywhere.
With his sister calling for peace.
And y'all want us to sit here and be quiet, get welfare checks, and get SSI. Nah, fuck them buildings. I hope them motherfuckers burn down tonight.
Jamila, we'll start with you because the White House yesterday came out and made a pretty bold statement saying President Obama considers the attack on Dallas police a hate crime. We know the killer specifically mentioned he wanted to kill white people, especially white police officers, according to law enforcement there. How do you feel about the president defining this as a hate crime?
You know, I have to say I would not describe hate crime as the most comfortable word choice considering these circumstances. There's so much that we do not know about what took place, what motivated this person. We only have the one account of law enforcement. We haven't had the opportunity to really look into his history in a meaningful way. When we use a phrase like hate crime, we're typically referring to crimes against people of color, people of various religious groups, LGBT people, people who have been historically attacked, abused, or disenfranchised on the basis of their identity. To now extend that to the majority group and a group of people that has a history with African Americans that has been abusive, and we can apply that to either police officers or to Caucasians, I think gets into very tricky territory. So I'd be curious to know if he was referring to this as a hate crime because he singled them out by race or attempted to single them out by race, or because they were police officers.
Steve, do you agree with that? The fact that this man was targeting white people, according to what he told police, does that fit the definition of a hate crime?
It absolutely fits the definition of the hate crime. You can't just say that only certain groups are allowed to be hated. Only certain groups can have crimes designated as hate crimes against them. That's racism. What you're doing here is saying that the actual truth of the matter is that hate crimes are defined as a crime against a specific race, doesn't list them, gender preference group, or membership in an organization. That's how it's defined. You can't just say if you're white, nobody can commit a hate crime against you. And this guy said, I'm doing it because you're white, and I'm doing it because you're cops.
Before we dive into a set of facts and statistics that may boggle your mind, it's my duty to read you your Milo-approved Miranda rights. You have the right to controversial opinions and speech. You have the right to confront and to disagree with, to rebut and to question opinions that don't match your own. You have the right to do all of that without being told that you are violating a safe space. You have the right to reject the brainwashing forced upon you by professors that make Obama look like the aforesaid Che Guevara. And most importantly, you have the right to worship your dangerous faggot. Now, I'm not a real policeman, but no, I know. I have had some policemen in me. Sorry, I'll stop. It's cheap. It's cheap. It's cheap. You should stop laughing. It just encourages me. That's not even in here. I'm just... But I do recognize that blue lives matter. Blue lives matter. Black Lives Matter doesn't really care about black lives. It's, as we'll discuss shortly, more of a movement for attention, money, and, like most activism, more money. To achieve these goals, they focus their energies on cases of black men killed by the police. Well, the work of criminologist Dr. Richard Johnson of the University of Toledo explains just how futile this is. And some of this stuff is tough to listen to. Some of this stuff is not pleasant. It's not the kind of thing that you want to discuss over cocktails, but it's important to understand the problem if you're going to fix it, which Black Lives Matter definitely can't. Based on 2012 numbers, it would take 40 years worth of blacks killed by police to equal the total number of blacks murdered by other blacks in a single year. Right. Less than 400 people a year are killed by cops. 61% of them are white men. 32% are black males. Black men are not killed out of proportion when you consider they're much more likely to interact with police. People are killed by police about as often as they're struck by lightning, but I don't see many protests about storms. Black males are 58% of those killed legally by private citizens in self-defense. And you think, aha, we've got you on something. Except 75% of them were killed by other blacks. FBI statistics on murder lay bare the real threat to black lives in America, and that is other blacks. Black men are about 6.5% of the US population, but they commit 52% of all murders. That has dipped to about 40% in recent years. Black men overwhelmingly murder other black people, and white people overwhelmingly murder other white people. So just like abuse and harassment on the internet, this isn't really a racial issue like that isn't really a gendered issue. Looking at overall violent crime, blacks are 27% more likely to attack whites than vice versa, and 8 times more likely to attack Hispanics. This is the shocking number I hope you take away from my visit. 90% of blacks that die of murder die at the hands of other black people, and that's from the FBI homicide report, 90%. We're not here to talk about why this happens, why 74% of black children are raised without fathers per Health and Human Services, and why the government seems intent on continuing a cycle of destruction within the black community. My message is simple. Black lives don't matter to Black Lives Matter.